Have you ever been okay?
Written by Samuel Denmark III. Narrated by Roland Buffon II. Dr. Josephine Wolfe didn't realize there was something wrong until Judge Harford suddenly fell silent. She'd zoned out a while ago, somewhere, when he'd started talking about the oracles of the obscure and their latest research, this time into the subject of elemental demons and spirits. Josephine had tuned him out, not because the subject matter was boring, though he seemed to be making a great effort to make it sound that way. She tuned him out to observe the other guests at the event. The party was meant to promote a sense of camaraderie between the police, FBI, and a handful of private investigators operating in the island city of Otsha. But Josephine was only good with people when there were strings attached, and even then, most people had a sort of instinctual response to her presence, or more accurately, to the presence of the monster in her head she'd referred to as Wolf with something like affection. Josephine was off-putting to anyone with any sort of instinct, and most investigators relied heavily enough on it that they tended to know something was wrong about her, even without seeing the monster move behind her eyes. Thus, at the party meant to build feelings of trust. Josephine was an unwelcome presence, and most of them made sure she knew it. She'd started the evening alone against the wall and remained that way until Detective Jansen Andreas found her there and approached with an amicable smile. "How have you been, Joe? Mingling with the law enforcement? Making new connections?" She raised an eyebrow at him as he leaned against the wall beside her, and he seemed to read that she wasn't in the mood for his teasing in her body language. He was probably one of the only people she knew who could read her despite her lack of expressiveness. "I know." He rubbed at a dark scuff along his chin. He looked like he'd come straight to the event from an all-nighter working some case or another with 2 days' worth of stubble and dark circles around his cognac eyes, almost as dark as her own dark circles. "I heard some of these feds trash-talking you earlier." Josephine shrugged, non-committally. "Let them talk." A remarkably prideful and almost sinister smile flickered across her lips before she continued. "I hear the resolve rate in violent crimes has dropped considerably since I quit." Quitting was probably too nice of a way to put it when they departed after she told her boss to breeze off, but really they'd been looking for a good excuse to chase her out for a while, and she refused to give them the satisfaction. She'd never quite figured out how politics could be more important than investigative skill and deductive reasoning in a job that resolved around solving crimes, but somehow it was. Andreas laughed at her comment.
"Sample complete. Ready to continue?"